Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to episode 14 of Fremont. Today's episode we're going to be tackling a new task, not really focused on the downtown area. Instead, we're going to be developing the city university. Now this is a pretty extensive build. It's not the largest thing I've ever created, but there's a lot of props, there's a lot of time, a lot of dedication that went into this build. The sidewalks have plenty of decals, there's lots of up close tiny little details, especially with planters and bushes and whatnot and benches. There's a lot more stuff going on in this build than I think have been put into all my other builds. I usually try and keep that stuff just generally not really existent, because it doesn't really make a difference in the appearance of the city until you get really up and close, to look at it. And I feel like this is probably the once in a lifetime, or not once in a lifetime, the once in a while build where, you actually would get up and close to see what's happening inside, and all the ins and outs of it. So that's why I went ahead and, added all those props and whatnot that you'll be seeing me add later on. But right now, you'll see me adding in these tennis courts and whatnot. And something else that gets added later on is the soccer field. And I really like the way that came out, because it's kind of up on a hill, so I had to build a little retaining wall. But other than that, we'll get onto that. What's happening right now is you're seeing me plop down all of these university buildings. Eventually you'll see me replace the default trees that come with each of the buildings, and I just take them out and I substitute my own, manually plop down trees, because they just look better in general in the end. But as you can see, I'm putting down that soccer field that I mentioned earlier. You will see me putting down some grass props and some, what are they called? Ploppable pavement, I believe, part of the ploppable asphalt mod. That's just to cover up some of the other areas, just to make it look a whole lot better than it currently is right now. Being partly on a slope, probably not the best thing for a soccer field to be sloped. You want that to be level usually. But anyway, moving on with that, you're going to see me building this little central plaza. It's just going to be a little lawn area for, the students of the university to relax and maybe catch up on their studies, because they didn't study for their finals. But yeah, that's probably towards the end of the episode. Right now, this beginning section is just me, putting down all of the university buildings and facilities, the dorms, the classrooms, you name it. I put all that stuff down first, then I eventually begin to move on to the decoration of all these buildings, which I just need to say took a very, very long time to record. I remember I was recording footage, and I think in the end of it, it came out to 10 hours of footage. I think that I was honestly a little bit miserable by the end of that recording session, playing this game for 10 hours straight. Pretty ridiculous. I wasn't very satisfied because I still hadn't even finished. I hadn't even finished decorating. That's how much time and effort went into this particular build. So that's one of the reasons why this episode is coming out, I guess, significantly later than some of my other episodes. I think I'm approaching 1 month at this point since my last upload, which is not great when you're trying to, have a YouTube channel. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on with the creation of this build. The new parks, Park Life, I believe, that new DLC came out, which messed up some mods, and also just in general, the game has been very, very laggy. And I wanted to play with the graphics set on high, because I was going to be dealing with a lot of decals, and usually you want the decals to be very precise, and when the graphics are set to medium or low, the decals seem to, they fade, and they're not as crisp, and I needed them to be very crisp for this particular build, because I needed to line them up as best as I could, otherwise it would look a lot worse in the final product. So that's probably the main reason as to why this episode is so late, but better late than never. So At least that's how I'm gonna see it. But yeah, you can see me just taking out all of those trees and whatnot that come with the buildings by default. The vanilla trees do not look great in any way, so just gotta take them out. And I'll put in some planters, put in some custom trees from the workshop and whatnot, which probably also doesn't help the frame rates because a lot of the trees that I put in are very high poly count. And as a lot of you probably already know, high poly count plus tons of those trees placed around the city does not bode very well for frame rates. So I'm probably actually gonna go on a prop purge after this video uploads to YouTube. So by the time the next video comes out, I'd have hopefully reduced the amount of frames that I'm going to be losing whenever I record, because I gotta say it's pretty bad, especially when you look downtown. The only reason I was probably able to record this episode in the manner that it is because I was focused looking down, like it is right here in this scene where I'm putting down that ploppable grass that I mentioned earlier for the soccer stadium. Not really soccer stadium, it's just a field. But anyway, when you look down, that's the best way to get the maximum amount of frames. So that's a bit of an issue. It doesn't impact the game a whole lot, but it does make it a bit undesirable to play. And you really want to have a desire when you're playing this game, you know, to spend 10 hours, 8 hours, you name it, on a single build. Because it's that time and dedication that really makes the final product shine. But moving on with that little rant that I just had, you can see me putting in all of these decals that I mentioned. There's tons of these decals. These, I think they're herringstone or something. I can't really quite see on my little preview monitor that I'm looking at while I'm recording this audio, but these little stones, or not stones, these bricks, they absolutely litter the entire college campus, and I really like the way it turns out because this, of course, is based on the city of Fremont, I should say, for those of you who do not know, is based off the city of Greensboro, North Carolina. And as a North Carolina city, they really like their bricks. So the city is dotted with lots of brick structures. The university in the city, all the universities, I should say, in the city are all mainly comprised of bricks. And of course, these university buildings in the game are also made of bricks. So I just thought, this is absolutely perfect. This is wonderful. I can make this look very genuine, very unique, and I absolutely adore the way that it came out. The bricks, the cinematics, they just, it's a whole lot better than just plain concrete, that's for sure. But as I said, tons of these decals get put in. And again, all of these planters, and I went and used the mulch planters for the majority of this build versus the, what are they, the green grass planters, and they just look so much better because originally I probably would have done the green grass planters because the mulch hadn't been released yet, although it's been out for a while now. I'm not sure what I'm trying to get at. Had the mulch not been released, I would have put the green planters down, but of course, we got the mulch planters, and they are just fantastic. So moving on from planters, I'm now dotting these planters with all of these bushes, which are probably too high poly and probably kill the frame rate, but whatever. It looks nice in the end. That's all that matters. But yeah, just put in all of these bushes. I then put in some benches here and there, more bushes, more flowers. I put in these what are they, the London plane trees with little planters in the middle. Thought that looked very good, provided a nice little shaded courtyard area for the dorms. These are supposed to be dorms, and I love the way that it came out. This probably, I feel like this section of the campus got the most attention, that little corner where those dorm rooms are, especially these dorm rooms, this little, I guess, box, the four corners, I'll call them. They got the probably most props and whatnot put into them, and it really shows in the end. I like the way that it turns out. But yeah, you can see me lining up them manually here and there because Propline tool wasn't quite working for me, and that's one of the reasons why I needed the graphics to be set on high. Not only that, but I also went back and redid an intersection that relied very heavily on line decals, and those line decals needed to be precise for it to look very genuine in the end. But enough with that. Moving on from what's happening in-game, I just want to ask you guys, the viewer, what else do you want to see me put into this city? Because, not gonna lie, I'm kind of, running out of ideas. This is, of course, supposed to be, it's not exactly a replica, but it is very familiar with Greensboro, and unfortunately, a lot of Greensboro is just suburbs. And of course, I can't just make a video about me zoning endless suburbs around the city. Not only would you guys not enjoy that, because, there's not a whole lot happening. It's not very an engaging, entertaining video. Not only is that the case, but it's also kind of torturous for me to just do the same thing over and over and over again. The repetition of zoning those suburbs and putting the trees in between all the buildings, it's almost torturous, I gotta say. So, feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you want to see put into this city. Let me know. I'm thinking about a possible airport, but that is still in the works. So if you're going to leave a comment on anything but an airport. Or anything. Don't leave a comment about an airport, is what I'm trying to say, because that's already been on my mind. But, just feel free to leave a suggestion. I might take it up and put into the next video, because Lord knows that I don't pre-record these videos. This is coming up. I'm recording this audio on the 14th, and this video is probably going to go up tomorrow, to be honest. So, yeah, run a bit of a thin line over here. That is procrastination for you. But, yeah, again, feel free to leave a comment. And, yeah, now that that little nitpick is out of the way, I guess we're going to jump back into what's happening on screen, which is now moving on from putting down a bunch of brick decals. Now I'm putting in a bunch of, foliage is the word I was looking for. Tons of these flowers. You can see those little square bollards or cubed bollards over there. I thought those looked pretty neat. There's only, I'd say, 2 places in this entire university that uses those bollards. It's this location and then another spot across campus. Probably aren't going to see it in this particular section of the video. Probably going to be more focused on the closing cinematics, which I think look pretty neat on their own. And now you can see me filling in all these empty grass spaces with trees, because I was originally going to leave some more, open lawn areas and then put the, the lawn decals in to fill it in. That only worked in a few locations, and I just thought, it doesn't really make much sense to cut down the trees to make a green space. What's the point of that? Leave the trees up and just maintain the grass for, students to hang out underneath. It's probably the best option. That's just me. But, yeah, so I'm kind of just filling in a lot of empty space with this university. I use these white fence props and a lot of mulch. Pretty sure I mentioned the mulch earlier in the episode. But yeah, just putting in all of these little mulch decals and the mulch curbs. And you'll probably also notice, I'm sure you've also noticed by now, that the university is just surrounded by all these houses and whatnot. I believe I mentioned this earlier in the episode, how it's not in the downtown area, it's a bit a ways from it. And it's just surrounded by all these suburbs that I also mentioned are very torturous to make. And you'll also probably notice in the closing cinematics how some of them don't even have trees filling in the empty space between them. I got to get back to that. But it was just a bit of a nightmare getting this whole university done, But it was worth it. Very well worth it in the end. And we are almost getting close to the ending of the time-lapse of me creating this build. I think I'm going to leave it right here and just let the music soothe you until the end of the episode. I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next episode. Consider subscribing if you want to stay caught up with my uploads, though infrequent. They are, I'd like to say, well worth a watch. And if you think so, leave a like on this video, share this video with anyone who might be interested in this series, and I guess check out all the other videos of Fremont if you enjoy the series so far. So again, I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching. Hope to see you in part 15 whenever that releases. Take care.